What are we marching under? I align to the energy of the power that creates the worlds. I do this and find I'm in creative mind from which all my good unfurls. A glorious standard is flying above. As for me, I rest under this banner of love. When I'm in fear, there is love. Now I let it lead me. When I'm in lack, there is abundance. Now I let it feed me. When I'm in turmoil, there is peace. Now I let it soothe me. When I'm confused, there is wisdom. Now I let it move me. A glorious standard is flying above. As for me, I rest under this banner of love. When I'm in fear, there is love. Now I let it lead me. When I'm in lack, there is abundance. Now I let it feed me. When I'm in turmoil, there is peace. Now I let it soothe me. When I'm confused, there is wisdom. Now I let it move me. A glorious standard is flying above. As for me, I rest under this banner of love. A glorious standard is flying above. As for me, I rest under this banner of love.
Good morning and welcome to our Sunday gathering with Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. I'm Reverend Beverly Pryor and I'm the minister here in Kerrville at Unity of the Hill Country. You were just listening to Kim Char, Meredith, and Shelley singing Banner of Love. I always feel like a radio announcer when I say that, but I want to give them credit. Of course, you can see it right there on the screen. I like that song, Banner of Love. You know, we're always carrying a banner, whether we know it or not. And hopefully, and why not, make your banner love. Let's just take a moment now and get centered in a moment of prayer. Unity was founded on prayer. So we begin now by closing our eyes, if that's comfortable for you. And together, let's take a deep breath in And release that breath. As we take that breath together, we synchronize our hearts and our minds in this now moment. We open our hearts in gratitude and appreciation for this opportunity to be together. We've been able to be resilient and adaptable and find a new way of connecting. And we are connected, whether you're right here in this moment with us on Zoom or Facebook, or if you're watching at another time on our website or YouTube channel. We are connected. We are one presence. And together we sanctify this time, and we know we claim the highest and best for everyone involved. We're just so grateful for the ability to continue to connect and be together. We hold a vision of coming together in the near future, looking one another in the eye and maybe waving, maybe one day hugging. At some point we'll be able to hug, but just being able to be in one another's presence in this moment. We have nothing more to say than thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The opening statement for Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. We say it every week, and when we're together, we all say it together. And so wherever you are, I know your mics are muted right now, and that's the way we need it for the beginning of the gathering, but you may at home just say this out loud, because it's so important to continue to affirm and to really live this truth. And saying it and hearing our own words is one of those ways that we do this. Together, there's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. One power and one presence, by whatever name. If you call this your higher power, your source, the universe, substance, there's so many words. In different religions, there's Yahweh, and there's Allah, and there's so many different ways to name this power, this force that lives within each and every one of us and expresses as us. And we acknowledge that every week to remind ourselves, this is the consciousness that we want to live from, to live and move and have our being from this consciousness, knowing our oneness with every moment, every circumstance, every person, regardless of our differences or our sameness. We are one. I'm so grateful for this truth. I appreciate down to my very cells in my body that this is the truth from which we live. We have a couple of quick announcements for you today. Drum Circle is already again, because this coming Saturday is actually the last Saturday of the month. We'll be playing outside. We will have some drums and percussion instruments if you have some of your own to bring. It's really an enjoyable experience. We just get together. You do not have to know how to drum. You can just follow along in whatever way that you'd like. You can use a percussion instrument. You can snap your fingers. It's just a beautiful way to raise our vibration together And we sit in that little space between the meditation chapel and the activity center. And we just have fun for about an hour. And it's a nice way to end the week on Saturday at 4 o'clock. I don't have that on here. It's at 4 p.m. on Saturday, the 24th. It's always the last Saturday of each month. And then the next Saturday is May 1st already. Blows my mind. So next week, I'm really excited to introduce you to someone. If you saw our Easter video, the beautiful woman standing in the wind with her wavy hair saying the opening prayer is Bertie Shocker. And she is a chaplain. She's also worked for Unity of San Antonio, and she's worked for, she currently works for Unity of Bernie, helping out, and she organizes us in our, we have a lot of events that you're welcome to join. And she helps to coordinate all the 8 churches who've been sharing events and making them available online. The Thursday meditation, the Tuesday, Let's Get Metaphysical. There's of course, a miracles group. Anyway, she is a hospital chaplain who's been on the front lines during all of this past year. She's very centered in spiritual principle, and she actually survived COVID. And so she has a lot of insights and a lot of interesting things to share. And I really look forward to you meeting her. She's a beautiful soul. And I really appreciate her being available to us next Sunday as our guest speaker at 11, which again, I didn't put the time on there, but it's the same time as always, 11 a.m. And today, the final announcement is David Roth is back with us. You will remember David from a number of different times. I don't even, is this the 5th or 6th time he's been with us? I'm not really sure, but we're so grateful because, he's not here locally. So in this time of COVID, we've really been able to have such exceptional quality, positive, the posse music artist, as we call it, posse because positive. And David is very unique in that he is a singer, a songwriter. He's also a workshop leader, a speaker. He has a number of different awards from here at Kerrville, the Kerrville Folk Festival, and others. And we're just really fortunate. His warmth and his charm and his beautiful voice and his ability to play the piano and the guitar. We're just really blessed to have him. And I can't really be effusive enough to express how much I appreciate his ability to be with us and his willingness to share his talents with us. And so he'll be our special music today. So let's take a moment. Prayer is everything. It is literally everything. Because every thought and every word is prayer. Unity was founded on prayer because of the healing experiences that both of the co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, had in their own lives. She healed herself of tuberculosis by praying and meditating on the consciousness of Jesus, and he lengthened his leg that was shorter than the other since birth. These are phenomenal things that they created through that creative mind, through that oneness with that power and presence that we were just talking about, that presence we know as God. And so from that, they began having prayer circles, and people began to write into them, and they started coming to their prayer circles, and they had letters that they put out and things like that, encouraging people to really get the depth of the power of prayer, because our prayers are always answered. It's the consciousness from which we pray and ask and claim that determines the outcome. So sometimes when our prayers don't appear to be answered, they were answered. They're just answered from that way in which we pray. So it's really important, if you've never called Silent Unity, the phone numbers are right here on the screen. You can go online and submit a prayer. You can mail a prayer to this address, but I encourage you to pick up the phone, even if you don't have a deep need. Maybe you just need to shift your energy for today. Maybe you're feeling a little low. Maybe you just want a little pickup. The power of the prayer associates who are praying from that consciousness is just beyond. I can't even tell you how many family members I encourage and friends regularly to call Silent Unity when they have something that's of concern. I will, of course, pray with them, but there's something in that power, that being a part of, and we're all a part of it, but they're trained and they're praying all day long with people. And they're always primed and ready to pray with you, with me, with all of us. But then when you submit your prayers here locally, if you submit them online or you call or you text us, then we take them, our prayer team locally prays over them, and they're sent to Silent Unity, and they sit in that prayer vigil energy for 30 days. There is someone there, even though the prayer associates are mostly working remotely now, there is someone at Silent Unity holding vigil 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's never a moment that your prayer during that 30 days is not held in that Christ consciousness. So I can't emphasize enough how transformative this resource is. And it's a resource available to everyone in this world. A lot of people don't even know there is such thing as a Unity Center. They just know about Silent Unity, or they read the Daily Word. But it's a source, a resource that's always there. And I really can't say enough about how important it is at times to take advantage of this opportunity. So if you have something on your mind for yourself or for another, just look at the prayer box here on the screen and just imagine writing out that prayer and then dropping it right in that little slot on top. And together, let's close our eyes. And again, we return to that prayer consciousness we began this morning with. And we take a deep breath in. And we release, and we just let go of any distractions or busyness of the morning, and we drop into this now moment. Whatever your requests may be, whether it's creative ideas, finances, relationship harmony, job, it doesn't matter. Whatever your desire is on your heart, it was placed there by God, by that infinite source that knows that all things are working together for good for you at all times. And Jesus taught us to claim our good, to know, to have confidence in this truth, and to claim our good. And so in this moment, whatever your request might be for yourself or for another, through that Christ consciousness we all possess, and we all have the opportunity to express, in this moment together, we claim it. We know it is done. It is done. And for this truth and so much more, we simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The mission and vision statement of Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas, is to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. And when you think about that mission and vision statement, to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all, that's exactly what we were doing in that moment of prayer. celebrating that divine potential to express as the outworking of your prayer request. And we live consciously knowing this is true. This is the truth of our being. Our daily word reader today is our board treasurer and secretary, Ms. Patsy Sherman. Patsy, you want unmute? I can't hear you, sweetie.
Okay, there.
Oh, there you go. Good.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today's daily word is pray for others. With mind and heart, I know the truth for each person I hold in prayer. A friend, someone said, knows the truth for you until you know it for yourself. Praying for friends, family members, and those I haven't met, I center my awareness in the truth that each one for whom I pray is the living expression of God, just as I am. Letting go of fear, I release thoughts of lack, illness, disharmony, or any limitation. I see each person for whom I pray abundantly blessed. I see each one warmed and comforted by divine love that lifts their hearts and brings harmony to their relationships. I affirm their abundant living, guided by divine love, wisdom, and understanding. I see each life unfolding in perfect divine order, enjoying security, health, and joy. From Corinthians 14:15, I will pray with the Spirit, but I will pray with the mind also. I will sing praise with the Spirit, but I will sing praise with the mind also. Again, today's daily word is pray for others.
Thank you, Patsy. What a great message. And so now we will take a moment and prepare ourselves for a time of meditation. And we will enjoy a beautiful song presented by David Roth.
A very good morning to you all. If you're lucky enough to be sharing your Zoom room in person with someone else, you could take a look at them right now and say, I can't wait to hear you sing with David. Very easy. I'll take you through the first time. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. Sing with me. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. You are here. You are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. We are here. We are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all. You sing one. I am here. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all, the greater good of all.
David, it's a beautiful way to take us into a time of meditation. So if we will just close our eyes and take a deep breath in. Slowly release that breath. Another deep breath all the way from the lower belly, just all the way, filling your lungs, and a little pause at the top. Slowly releasing that breath. Allow yourself to be aware of how the breath is connecting us, mind, body, and spirit. It's connecting us one with another in this now moment. Be aware of that expansion, that connection. Just allowing your breath to return to your normal rhythm. Bring your attention to it as it's entering and leaving the nostrils. When you're breathing in, there's a transition, just a little gap. And then the air flows out again. Bring your attention to that little point, that transition point, that gap. Now begin to follow the breath as it moves deep within, deeper and deeper, to your secret place of the Most High, the very center of your being. The stillness of the mind, the openness of the heart. Fully present. Together we embrace the truth of the song that David just shared with us. I am here for the greater good of all. Let those be your words. I am here for the greater good of all. If you feel any resistance to that, if someone's image pops in your mind and you're like, yeah, but not them, then continue with the verses of the song. Hold that image and tell that image you are here for the greater good of all. As divine beings, we all, without exception, regardless of appearances, we are all here for the greater good of all. As expressions of the divine, it can be no other way. Hold this truth as we spend a moment in silence. Present in this truth, connected through our oneness. We take hold of this truth. We embrace it as our own, each and every one of us. And together we take a deep breath in and release, allowing our attention to return to this moment. Fully present with the truth of our divinity and those around us and those we've never met. We hold this truth. And so it is. Amen.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
So our talk today is on Innocence Lost. We're referring to Toltec wisdom as shared by Don Miguel Ruiz in The Mastery of Love, which is a small little book, but every page is so full. I had intended to actually cover a couple of chapters today, but this one chapter, which is only chapter 2, because we just started with it last week, his chapter is the loss of innocence. I think we all have moments in our life that we can reflect back on, and we know that in that moment, we lost a good deal of innocence. It's part of life. They're actually rites of passages sometimes into another level of existence, another way of being in the world. And we have choices. We have choices in that moment, and even choices as we reflect back on that innocence lost. In this book, Don Miguel Ruiz is covering very intimate and very personal concepts and ideas. And this week, I want you to listen from that higher perspective. I know that some things I may talk about might give you a little bit of a feeling one way or another. And if that feeling seems to be something that makes you feel like contracting, just pay attention to that. And if it makes you open your mind and expand, pay attention to that too. He calls this book a practical guide to the art of relationship. And it's not relationship one-to-one like a romantic relationship. It's all relationships. The relationship that begins with us as an individual and then expands out to every dynamic in our life, not just one type of. Sometimes we hear the word relationship and we only think of that partner, or we only think of that family, immediate family. But we're in relationship with the entire world. Every single day, every moment of every day, we're in relationship with the entire world. The relationship begins with our consciousness about how we see the world. What do we view about the world? What do we judge and decide and discern? How do we assess the world? And that comes through many, many, many years of filters. But let's take you back. Last week when we began this discussion, we were talking about children and how children are just so present in the moment. They're present in the moment from that time that they come into the world. If you look into the face of an innocent little baby lying in a crib, they're just taking everything in. They have no judgment. They have no yet, not in this lifetime, not in this moment, in this crib, but they begin right away, even in utero. They begin having experiences that inform them about the world in which they live. And he gives an example. He tells a story of a mom who took her child to the park to play. And she's sitting on the bench and the child is interacting and starts running and trips and falls on gravel and skins the knee. And of course, the mom sees this happen and feels some anxiety and is like holding her breath. And the child kind of looks up and looks over at the mom, and the mom smiles and nods, you're okay. And so the child pulls back the tears. If the mom had freaked out, the child, this, if you're a parent or you have children in your life, the mom freaked out at that moment, the child would freak out and it would be a big deal. But the child saw the mom there and knew that the child was safe. And so the child dusted off the gravel and then went on to play. And there were some other children who joined, and then the child was interacting with other kids, and one of the kids, for whatever reason, decided to shove her child. And then that mama bear, came firing up, and she's looking over, and the child falls back. And of course, he's hurt. His feelings are hurt that the other child hurt him or even was aggressive towards him. But in that moment, again, looks over at mom. And mom is like, I really want to run to my child. I really want to comfort my child, but I'm here to let my child learn to interact with others, right? And so she's sitting there and the child seems okay, but then she notices that, the child's sort of kicking around with rocks and the head is low. It was a difficult experience on the playground. So she decides to get up and walk over and make sure her child is okay and gets a moment to process this experience on the playground. And she stands up and she's walking towards the child. And so the child sees her coming and thinks, oh, mom's coming to play. I can't play with those kids, but I can play with mom. So the child starts running around and runs in the direction of the street. Of course, then the mom is freaked out because she was coming to comfort the child, but now the child is running towards the street. So she runs even faster. Her adrenaline is going up really high. And so she grabs the child by the arm. And before she knows it, she's spanking the child. This is a child she was going to comfort. In that moment, she's trying to teach the child not to run into the street, but the child doesn't know that. The child in that moment of innocence is so confused and deeply hurt because not only has the bully pushed him, but also mom came running after. I thought she wanted to play with me and she spanked me. I don't know what's going, because the child's perception was not focused on traffic. Mom's has to be focused on traffic and any other danger. So in that moment, as simple as that interaction is, and as simple as it sounds, there's a little bit of a wound that happens. There's a little bit of innocence lost in that idea of play is full out and safe and joyful. To play isn't safe. And I know that that's confusing to hear. And a lot of us probably in this moment think, I did that so many times with my child. I feel regret. I feel horrible about that. Or you're kind of mad at me right now because you think I'm criticizing your parenting style. I'm not. I'm just saying we all have been that child. I could give you a list of ways that my parents interacted with me in an unconscious way that were confusing. And, in retrospect, I think back about it and I understand that where they were coming from. But when we're coming from that mind of fear, we often do things unintentionally and we often harm one another when we want to help one another. But you see, the child, this innocence of the child doesn't know that, and they don't have any coping skills yet. So they just go to whatever kind of unskillful way to deal with it, which is usually they start shutting down, they start pulling back, they lose a little bit of that joy that they initially came to the playground full of imagination and creativity and expectations and wonderment. But then they've learned this lesson that there's danger, there's pain. And it's important for us to acknowledge that there may be aspects of ourselves that we've begun, even at an early age, to withhold. And if you don't learn a new way of being in those moments, you can continue the rest of your life in every uncomfortable situation, shutting down, pulling yourself back. In this chapter, he goes so far as to say that many people who are labeled shy, it's not really shyness. It's a learned behavior. It's not safe to play full out. So I'm going to pull myself back. I'm going to withhold a little bit. In Matthew 18:1, this time frame we've been talking about around the crucifixion and resurrection, and how Jesus was preparing disciples for when he wasn't to be there anymore. And he was going around doing miracles and teaching and trying to help the disciples to learn to be confident and be on their own and continue his teachings. In this chapter, the disciples have come to him and they say, at that time, it says, at that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And he called a child whom he put among them and said, truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. So he's talking about that openness, that vulnerability, that willingness to learn, that magic, that creativity like a child, that innocence. And so many times we've lost that innocence along the way through different things in our life. It begins really early in these little experiences that sometimes we can't even recall, but it continues. If we learn a certain way of behaving, sometimes we are behaving in ways that don't serve us to thrive and grow. But we should follow this instruction of Jesus and find our way back to innocence, find our way back to an innocent heart, an open mind. Don Miguel Ruiz goes so far as to describe this thing that takes us over as parasites. The parasites can sometimes be little things that attach to us in these early years. It can be things that are said by an unwitting relative. Parents often project their fears onto their children in a desire to protect the child, but they've implanted these little parasites, these little belief systems of limitation and lack and disconnection, competition, unworthiness. There's so many little parasites that have gotten into our system, into our emotional system, into our mental system, into our awareness, that we need to allow ourselves to move beyond. We don't have to keep them. We don't have to hold on to them. We need to allow them to just move on. And how can we do this? How can we recover that innocence of a child? One is to get curious. Not just curious about what happened to me, because it doesn't matter. We all had those injuries. We all had moments where we were misunderstood, where things were not taken care of in a timely fashion, that we were not cared for in the way that we needed in that moment. There's not a person I know that would say, well, some people sometimes say they had a perfect childhood. I don't think there are very many people who did, because that's not why we came here as a human being. We came here to learn. If we get curious, just curious about, wow, if I didn't have these parasites, if I didn't have these little beliefs and thoughts and limitations, what would I do today? I mentioned last week that I have a great nephew who, when he was little, he had a different character for every day of the week. It was a whole bunch of different ones. I mean, they were fully formed in his mind. And he even sometimes, he had a cowboy that he talked like this, because that's how he thought cowboys talked. But he had that little gravel and he would say things. And it was so amazing. He fully formed these little personas. But if you are going to allow that inner child to blossom in you today, get curious about what that inner child might do or say become, because it's never late. As George Eliot said, it's never too late to become what you might have been. And make room for awe. Have you ever noticed how amazed kids get with the smallest thing? I mean, how long can they play with a rock or a stick or find some mud and then suddenly they built a castle or they've made a pancake? I mean, it's just in us to connect with nature, to be present in the moment. As adults, we tend to think that we need to be sophisticated, or we get this been there, done that attitude. How does that serve anybody? Every time you have an experience, even if you've had it 100 times before, this now moment is a new experience. If you allow yourself, if you make room to be in awe of your friendships with people, be in awe of that friend and what they bring to your life. Be in awe of the way you show up for your family. Be in awe of the sunrise. Be in awe of the way your pet communicates with you. Just allow yourself to be thrilled with things in your life every day. When you do that, you're opening your heart. You're allowing yourself to become like a little child. And let loose. If you look at this picture, what do you see? Do you see a child standing on a sofa, acting up? You're thinking, oh, they're ruining the cushions, or I wonder if their feet are dirty. Let loose. You know what this child is experiencing? A stage in a stadium. They're rocking out, they're playing their air guitar, they're being in this experience of what it could be. In that moment, that's who they are. They are a rock and roll star. So allow yourself to just let loose and experience whatever it might be. Let your imagination, that creative energy, take you there, like the innocence of a child. And it might just be dancing around in your kitchen. Maybe in that moment, you're Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I think most of the people on the Zoom and Facebook today know who the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are. But you can have your moment and imagine you're in a big ballroom and just enjoy dancing around in your own kitchen. Be in that moment. Allow yourself to let loose. Don't think, oh, poo-poo, that's so silly. Growing up, I saw my mom poo-poo my dad so many times. He really liked to play. He really liked to enjoy life. And she would just think, oh, you're being silly, and act embarrassed because she had been entrained. She thought of herself as a shy person. She had been taught to shut it down and not to let herself play. But play is important. This is another way to become like a child. Let yourself be silly. Play with other adults. Allow yourself to just be in that moment and laugh and have fun. It's not all about competition. It's not all about winning. It's just about the game. It's just about enjoying and connecting. Playing games is a great way to connect, or just playing in general. Have you done hopscotch in a long time? You can get a piece of chalk and draw it out and just hop. And for some of us, maybe hopscotch is in the past, but we can do a lot of different things that help us to play. Sometimes we think that we want to teach children to play like adults. And children enjoy that. They enjoy playing like an adult. They like to cook, and they like to try clean sometimes and vacuum. One of my friends showed her daughter vacuuming the sofa with a little dust buster. And children, it's good for children to learn, but you know what's even better is when we allow ourselves to play like children. Get down on their level, get on the floor, play with their toys. Maybe it's not easy for you to play a video game because you really don't have any experience with it, but try it. Build with with Legos, and I almost said Lincoln Logs. I don't know if they make Lincoln Logs anymore, but get on the floor and play, or close to the floor. If the floor is not a good idea for you, close to the floor, or at least on a cushion. Do something to get yourself on the level of that child so you can see through the eyes of the child, through that innocence that personally you may have lost, but we can borrow the vision of that child. We can step into their world for a moment, and we can experience that innocence and connect back with that inner child of ours who craves the innocence of way back when. Playing with a pet is a great way. And usually, of course, we want to play with the pet the way we want to play with the pet. We throw the ball. A lot of them like to fetch, but hey, some of them like to do other things. And sometimes we have to recognize that even our pets, they're not acting up. They're being a dog or they're being a cat. They're using their energy, and we don't have to be angry with them. We might teach them in a loving and positive way how to play differently, but we can just enjoy their exuberance for whatever it is that they're doing in that moment. My dog Carly is only a year old, so she loves to shred things. So if I make a mistake and leave a piece of paper or cardboard or something lying around that she could potentially shred, I promise you she's going to shred it. And if I try to take it away from her, just like the kid in the park, she's going to run from me because she thinks she's playing, or she is playing. I'm not playing when I don't want to have to clean it all up. But you know what? She's having fun. And that's a puppy, just like a child. We can learn so much from everyone and everything around us in our environment. So regain your innocence. Get curious and make room for awe and just let loose. Don't be so uptight and shut down. I'm not talking to anybody in particular, but we all have little ways in which we are uptight and shut down in some fashion in our life. But just play. Make yourself like little children. It's the innocence that allows us to connect with that greater good in the world, because it's that ability to have that open mind and that creative energy in our mind and in our heart that allows us to know God in our lives, to see the interaction of God in our lives, to know that we're an expression of God. So your weekly practice this week is to revive your innocence. Make a commitment. Just be open to moments. They'll come to you. I promise. Moments to be curious and to let loose and to play will come to you this week. Just be willing. Seize the moment and let loose and enjoy your life. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Thank you. Namaste. I love you. So we'll come back to our amazing musical guest today, Mr. David Roth.
A lot of food for thought there. Let me see if I've got this right, RevBev. How can I be more open to this moment? How can I stop my wave of disconnects? Will fear be the biggest thing I choose to foment? Oh, may I come back to childlike innocence. And as we come around to take our places at the table, a moment to remember and reflect upon our wealth. Here's to loving friends and family, and here's to being able to gather here together in good company and health. And may we be released from all those feelings that would harm us. May we have the will to give them up and get them gone. For heavy are the satchels, full of anger and false promise. May we have the strength to put them down. And may the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. May the torch of mercy clear the path and show the way. And may the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you every day. And may we wish the best for everyone that we encounter. May we swallow pride and may we do away with fear. For it's only what we do not know that we have grown afraid of, and only what we do not choose to hear. May the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. And may the torch of mercy clear the path and show the way. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you every day, every day. And as we bless our daily bread and drink our day's libations, may we be reminded of the lost and wayward soul, the hungry and the homeless that we have in every nation. Oh, may we fill each empty cup and bowl. And may nothing ever come between or threaten to divide us. May we never take for granted all the gifts that we receive, being ever mindful of the unseen hands that guide us and the miracles that cause us to believe. May the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. And may the torch of mercy clear the path and show the way. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you every day. Oh, every day. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love be with you every day.
Thank you, David. That was beautiful. And I love the improv part. That was great.
If not now, when, you know?
Exactly. I always love that. And then I'm always curious if you ever finish or turn something into a song after you've created a little moment like that. Okay, so this is our moment to really just share our gratitude and appreciation and give you an opportunity to give. Many of you are mailing in your tithes and offerings over this past year, and it's meant so much to us to have that continued support and to know that you still value and love and appreciate Unity of the Hill Country here in Kerrville, Texas. And so you can make your offerings there on our website or mail it in. And hopefully soon we'll be able to come face to face and we'll be able to express our gratitude and appreciation. So today, whatever it is that you have to share, whether it's prayers, whether it's financial support, whether it's just, there's no just, there's your love and appreciation. Let's just bless everything in this moment. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I send it forth, my blessings and my love. And we close, as always, with the prayer of protection by James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. So we hope to see you again next week. And we're excited that we'll have a moment here of virtual community greeting. No hugging on the no hugging through the waves. You can hug this way. Hi everybody. Hi Hetty. There's
Hello.
Carolyn and Jay. I see Judy there, and Danny and Jack and Sue. Hi Sue. Mark and Gayleen, Patty, Patsy. Thanks for reading the daily word today. I see Jane is there with somewhere with Jack. I see her name up separately. Kara, Rhonda, George. Hi there, George and Anita. And there's Jerry. So hello, everybody. You unmute yourself so you can say hello.
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 Hey, Betsy.
Hi.
Thank you, David, for your beautiful music.
Yes, that was lovely.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
Perfect. Anybody have anything they'd like to share today?
Well, I'm halfway through the surgeries. The first one went great. I've got 20/20 vision in my left eye, and they're going to do my right eye on the 27th.
That's great
Wonderful.
Awesome.
for you.
Thank you.
That's exciting. That is just really, so nothing, you had the first one and it all went well and you're happy?
It's amazing how much sight I had lost and didn't realize it. The colors are more vibrant. The details more refined. It's so much easier. The only conflict I'm having now is I can't see out of my left eye if I put my glasses on. I can't see out of my right eye if I don't.
Well, I have something to share.
Yay!
I've had some prayer support from members of this church for my 93-year-old uncle who had an aortic valve replaced.
Oh,
He came
wow.
through the surgery just wonderfully and said, I feel like I can really breathe for the first time in a long time. He's going
That's-
home today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Surgery was on Thursday.
Oh, we're
Wow.
unmuted.
Wow.
I'm
That's-
taking him at his word. He says he's got a 20-year plan.
Right. Yes.
I think those plans are important
Yes.
I do, yes. Yes.
for sharing, Judy. Anybody else?
Enjoying some sunshine today,
Yeah.
for sure. Ready to get outside.
Yes. Go fly a kite, right?
That's right.
Carolyn Bailey knows how to play. She's the kite flyer. She and Jay like to go fly a kite.
Rev,
right.
I've got to sign off now because I'm actually I'm in a workshop all day today, and I don't mean to duck out prematurely, but I'm a half hour late from my last class. So
Thank you for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Thank you,
Thank
David.
you.
And we're closing anyway, so
I look forward to a return to Kerrville in person next year.
yeah,
Yeah.
exciting.
Amen.
Forward to that. Thanks, everyone. Namaste. I love you.
Stay.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye. Love you.
Love you all.